Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to the session on basics of Linux operating system. In today's session, we will discuss about the domain switching from one user account to another user account. Now, to know which user currently logged in, the command used is who am I. So now you can see the currently logged in user name. Now I want to switch to another user account. So the command is su. Okay, the name of the user, okay, to which you want to switch your domain. Then enter the target password, Jerry password. Then you can type who am I. You can see that the user domain has been changed from one user to another user. Okay, so this is one of the way to switch from one user account to another user account, okay, within this terminal. Now another command is sudo. Okay, the first command what we have discussed is su. Next command what we will see is sudo. Now let me see. I want to create a user, create a new user. Okay, Donald. So it says that only the root account has the privilege to add any user in this system. So we have to switch to the root user. Now what are the different options that exist? One of the option is like su command. Okay, su. Okay, then root. Okay, sudo su. Okay, so the Jerry, the currently logged in user, has no permission to execute the su command. So let me change to the main user, that is Shimas. Now you can see the user is Shimas. Now I want to change to root. Sudo su 123. Now you can see the currently logged in user is root. Okay, so this is one of the way like switching from one user domain to another user account. So basically now I am the root, and in this terminal I can execute all the commands that needs the privilege of root account. But there is a more secured way of doing things. Instead of going for su, the other option is, you can see now, sudo su shimas 1 2 3. Sorry, already it has changed to already I have the account has been changed to the Shimas. Okay, now the point is add user. Okay, I do not have the permission, only the root has the permission, right? So now either I have to use the su command to switch the domain from this user Shimas into root, and then I can add the user. That is one option. The other option is only for this specific command, only one command, this command, that is add user, it has to be executed as a root. Once that command execution over, then the user privilege should come back to the ordinary user. That can be accomplished using sudo command, sudo add user Donald. Now if I do like this way, then what happens once the add user command execution gets over, okay, what will happen, the privilege of the root would be removed and the domain would be switched back to the ordinary user account, that is Shimas. So now it is asking the password for the new user account, some details. Okay, then yes, so user account is created. Now I type who am I, you can see still the user account domain is Shimas, it hasn't switched to the root, but while this command, that is add user, is executed, it would be executed as the root with root privilege. So that is the importance of the sudo. So let me just recall. The first option to switch from one user domain to another user domain is su command, but it should be preceded with the sudo. Okay, so if you do this way, then what happens, you are switching from this user account into the root account. Then you would be staying as a root and you can execute any number of commands that needs the privilege of the root. Suppose the more secured way, as I said before, like only for a specific command you want to execute as a root, but once that command execution gets over, then the privilege should, the domain should switch back to the user account, ordinary user account. Then you can go for don't use a su, just put the sudo, precede the sudo with any command. For example, you want to install any package or you want to download something, then you can proceed with sudo command. Then it would ask you the password of the root, you just enter the password of the root, then the command would be executed with the root privilege. Once the execution gets over, then domain would be switched back to the the user who was executing this sudo command. Now next one is you can configure SetUID field. Okay, if for more clarification, for more information, students, please refer the chapter 9-11 protection. Okay, just I am repeating once again here, but already I have explained very clearly in detail in chapter 11. Okay, the concept is SetUID concept. Okay, so SetUID concept. So now actually this is also related to the domain switching, that is you can switch from one domain to another domain, user account to another user account. Okay, for example, let's say we have okay, let me go to this folder. So we have a file here, x.txt. Okay, so for each and every file there is a field called SetUID field. Now for this particular file, the SetUID field is not enabled, it is disabled. Okay, how you know that? We can find from the third letter, that X, if it is S instead of X, then it indicates that the SetUID field is enabled. When the SetUID field is enabled, okay, and suppose if it is an executable code, and when you execute that particular code, okay, or any file, you would be while you are executing that code, that time your privilege would be switched from your existing account or existing domain into the root domain. While you are executing this particular file, during that time you will be switched, okay, from your domain into the root domain. So if you want that to happen, then you should enable the SetUID field. Okay, how to do that? Change mode. Okay, then for the user plus yes. Okay, then x.txt. Now you can type ls-l. You can see here the third letter is not x but it is s. It indicates that not only you can execute, the user can execute that code, but while the user execute that code, the user domain would be switched into the root domain. You understand? So you can see it is shaded in red color because it indicates the user that for this particular file the SetUID field is enabled. It is not good. It is there can be a security breach. For example, like when you execute this code, your domain is switched from basically the ordinary account into the root account. Once that execution gets over, then again you come back to the ordinary user account. But while you are executing this program, this file, you are in the root, you have the root privilege. So if there is any vulnerabilities that can be utilized by the malicious programs to perform some kind of damage into your system. Okay, so this is the concept of SetUID field. Suppose you want to remove this, then change mode. Okay, user minus s x.txt. Now you can see it has been removed. Understand? So just let me recall. In this session you have seen three concepts. One is the basic idea is how to switch from one user domain to another user domain. So the option one is you can go for su command, but it should be preceded with sudo. Okay, su means you are switching from this domain into root domain. That is first option. Okay, then but when you use this you will stay as the root as long as you are not reverting back to the previous domain. But the other very secured option is you can, instead of using su, you can just use the sudo command with any other command, so that that particular command would be executed as a root privilege, but it would prompt you to enter the root password. Okay, you should be knowing the root password. Then the other option is, like for any file, if you configure SetUID field, if you enable the SetUID field, then while that file is executed, the domain switches from the existing domain into the root domain. Okay, so these are the things which we discussed for today's session. Okay, thank you very much.